Welcome to the Ohio AgNet podcast. It is Ugly Sweater Day today. I'm Matt Reese, and I've got a particularly ugly llama sweater, and joined by Dusty Sonnenberg with a very distinguished looking cow sweater, and our what has now become a great, I think, a great annual tradition with the Ag Resource Management folks. Larry Davis and Elizabeth Long have their ugly sweaters on as well, and you guys are really bringing it this year. Those are amazing.
Well, it kind of piggybacks off of the last Facebook Live that we did when we were at Farm Science Review. It went very piratey.
Yeah.
So
it was talk like a pirate.
We wanted to keep with the pirate theme this year.
And where do you even find those? Where do you even get something?
Listen,
like
the Zon has everything. The Zon has everything.
That's just amazing. And not only are they very functional for day, I mean, those are very delightful, ugly Christmas sweaters. They also have re-gifting, reuse potential, right, for you guys. What's the future hold for these sweaters?
So mine, our local school system is the Riverside Pirates. So I think there's going to be a lucky teacher that's going to get a pirate Christmas sweater. I mean, it is very soft on the inside if I need to sell it.
I mean, it looks very comfortable. The llama sweater is a little scratchy, to be honest, but it does have the
scarf.
Yeah, right there. That comes up. So I mean, so it is pretty nice, but it is a little scratchy.
And actually, my wife and I, Roxanne, are headed to the Gasparilla Bowl tomorrow night. And she suggested I wear this on the plane down there because we're going to Tampa Bay, which is known for a lot of pirates. And there was a guy named Gaspard at the Gasparilla Bowl. He was a pirate, and that's what the name of the bowl was for. So she thought it'd be appropriate if I wore it down there. Now, whether it comes back or not, that's a whole nother story. So.
Does that mean we're going to be looking for a shirtless Larry on the bowl game? Flinging his sweater about? It could get real interesting down there.
Yeah.
But all in all, as you guys work with the folks in Ohio agriculture around the state, it really was a lot of positive things coming out of harvest. It was good conditions for the most part, pretty good yields and so forth out there. What's the attitude of folks as you worked with them here post harvest here in 2022?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a really good harvest. I mean, a lot of guys probably about 2/3 of the way through were maybe hoping that it would rain so that they could get a couple days break in there. But a lot of folks that might have normally finished up around Thanksgiving or maybe a week or so thereafter were done by the first or second week in November. So I think all in all, really a pretty good harvest. I think yields were probably average or maybe a little better than average in some cases. We had some record yields, and then obviously there were some places maybe it wasn't quite what we would have wanted. But overall, I think certainly a good harvest season, and I think it also kind of led to guys thinking about, what do we need to be looking for next year? How do we need to plan for 2023? And so I think we started to engage in some of those discussions maybe several weeks earlier, maybe even a month or so earlier than what we normally would have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it also had that conversation to that point is what kind of tax implications were going to come, right, with the increase in cash, especially if they did some forward marketing and had kind of that plan as well. There could be some tax implications. So I think guys had probably reached out to their accountant a lot sooner than what maybe they have in the past to make sure that they were mitigating those taxes.
Mm-hmm.
As you look back across the last year, it seems like, and you mentioned marketing, there were really 4 big things that seemed like they played into what went in agriculture. We had everything going on with the Ukraine and Russia, which then translated into what's going on in the markets, which were absolutely crazy this year. We still have supply chain issues. And then probably the big one that you guys have dealt with more than anybody is what the interest rate situation's been doing. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if a farmer was paying, say, 3.25%, a year ago on his operating line, chances are that's more like 7.5% today. So, I mean, that's a dramatic change. I mean, you're talking more than twice what's had. And I think probably the biggest thing there is just simply the sticker shock of that, because most of today's guys, have not really experienced those kinds of conditions before, and that kind of movement that quickly, because that impacts the cost of their entire operation. Anything that they're borrowing money for, I mean, obviously that price is higher, compounded with the fact that the price of the actual product that they're buying is higher. Fertilizer, chemicals, seed, fuel. I mean, you go down the list. So there's a lot of pressure there that we haven't ever really seen before. And certainly we've had, the crop prices to kind of offset that. So that there is, I do think overall an increased margin, but it's been, a lot more dollars that everybody's dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Absolutely.
And then, in addition, in today's podcast, Dusty talked with Chris Schwartz on some water quality issues. I also talked with Bill Chain and Jeff Dooling. Bill Chain works with the Chesapeake Bay, and Jeff Dooling's done, of course, a tremendous amount with soil and water here in Ohio and farms up in Putnam County. We talk water quality with all those guys, and we got a couple interviews coming up on that topic. Also, this time of year, I think, is really important. The holidays are a really joyous occasion for a lot of people, but the holidays can also be a real challenge for some folks in terms of being a hard time of year. And we often don't think about that, but it can be a really tough time of year for some people. And Dusty had a good conversation with Nathan Brown about the importance of mental health in agriculture all year long. But I think that probably especially applies during the holidays, right, Dusty?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just a lot of good practical tips and thoughts that Nathan had to share out of that. And yeah, a lot of things still going on, as you mentioned, with the other two interviews that we did. OACI, the Ohio Ag Conservation Initiative, really got its wheels rolling about a year ago with some of the certification. And so Chris Schwartz gives us an update on that.
Mm-hmm. And that will be coming up next in the podcast, available on Digital Dale, which will come out tomorrow, and email and up at ocj.com. So be sure to check that out. And then we're going to dig into some more topics with these fine Christmas sweatered folks from Ag Resource Management here coming up next in the podcast. Thanks all for tuning in today.